Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Jānis Taukač here with Tech Stories next episode. It's for the first time in Tech Stories episodes history, in Tech Stories history, that we have the second episode in a row and second episode in total with the same person, Illya Sverdlov. Illya is a partner of, I will remind that Illya is a partner of law firm Kinsteller in Ukraine. He's head of tax in at Kinsteller, and leading Kinsteller is a leading tax practice in Ukraine by several directories. So, Ilya, welcome back to the show. And I thought that it's been a little bit more than a month since we spoke, and so much has changed during this last month that I thought it might be a good idea to catch up and let our listeners know what is really happening in Ukraine, looking from inside. So, welcome. And the first question is, how are you? How do you feel? Are you safe?
Yanis, hi. First of all, thanks for having me. And second time in a row. It's a good record, I would say. Something that will be something positive. Well, about how are we? I can't complain. Generally, like as to myself and my family, because after second night in Kiev, I live in the north. I mean, it's very close to the cities which already became hero cities and which were awarded the status by President Zelensky. A small town of Irpin, it's like 10 kilometers from my house. I live in the very end of Kiev on the north, close to the forest. And I mean, in the first night we saw like bombings and lights throughout the city. But on the second night, it became like really, really heavy and very close because our jets were flying over back and forth because they were bombing the Russian paratroopers which were landing in 20 kilometers close. And I think that at 5 o'clock in the morning, we decided that we will leave, and we just packed our things in 30 minutes. And we were on the road. So, and currently I'm in Western Ukraine with my family, with the kids, with my mother-in-law. And I would say that, I mean, again, everybody is helpful here. We managed to find where to live. And so I would say that there is nothing to complain about for myself. So we're here. We work also a bit distantly, but mostly I would say what people do here is just helping each other in different ways. Because, after 2 revolutions and 2 Maidans and generally Ukrainians, it's like we may seem unorganized in peaceful times, but our horizontal connections and horizontal links between Ukrainians, I mean, when something bad happens, I mean, it starts working like a very big, effective network, crowdfunding network, and it's amazing. Just, I want to say that this time, unlike maybe in previous years, we feel more like unparalleled support from our neighbors, from Poland, from Baltic states, from Romania, Slovakia, Czech Republic, and people just, I mean, when you see those, what they do, how they rush to the border to help, to pick up the kids, to arrange camps, to feed people, to host them. I mean, that is something which which will people remember for generations, and which show what is true world and what is not a true world, I would say. So the dark and light, etc. So these are, I mean, I think we discussed it. I thought that we have lived through all difficult times. Again, our generation, you and myself, we were born in Soviet Union. We saw the collapse of the Soviet Union. Luckily, we saw it. Then hard 90s for Ukraine. I mean, two revolutions after, I mean, in 21st century. Then the Crimea, the war in the east of Ukraine, and now, I mean, it's full-scale war, which was waged by absolutely maniac, like crazy killer and monster. And I would say that again, but we discussed it last time. Ukrainians are very tough cookies, and you know, now it's very often cited the words of Chechen president in 90s of Jihar Dudayev when he actually predicted everything. He thought that, I mean, there will be Ukraine at some point in time, there will be Crimea at some point in time, and some other things. And the one thing he warned the world about was that better not touch Ukrainians and mess with them, because with the Ukrainians there is one issue: they cannot calculate the strength of their response, and it will be just fierce and awesome. And that's, I think, something which people now see in online mode over all the channels, and that is something which gives the power to Ukrainians, and that's why ultimately we will win at high cost, for sure, because people's life is the highest cost on earth, which could be imagined. And it will be our soldiers, our women, our kids, unfortunately, because, I mean, that's a real awful tragedy.
Right. I saw that one of my colleagues, you mentioned help, feeling a lot of help from the neighboring countries, and not only. I know that one of my colleagues, today is Saturday, and she's spending her free date for driving a Jeep. She's a colleague of my tax team, and she's driving a Jeep to give it to Ukrainian army. And I know many Latvians are donating those cars. And I'm myself in a board of a charity that collected around 2 million in donations from Latvian companies. What help else is necessary for Ukrainians right now?
Well, I think, Yanis, I mean, first of all, thank you and your colleagues for that. We see it online, and like how quickly people like stand with Ukrainian and support all this initiative. Like, the best way to do this, to help, is by donations, because there are several, like, most reputable, like, not-for-profit organization, and also there are accounts open with National Bank of Ukraine, which have been posted by myself and my colleagues quite often. I mean, donation can be done very easy. You can do it online with your card. You can do a SWIFT transfer, etc. And I think I will give you the contacts of these funds, and I will kindly ask you to post them on LinkedIn, just for keeping this moving, because, I mean, it's still really needed. And I think, again, that is to our freedom and to your freedom. It's about really the needs which need to be financed. And I will also put one link of like one particular project I know, which my friend is leading. They are kind of finalizing the fit out of the house in Midwest Ukraine in order to host the refugees, which are coming specifically from the places where I mean, like Mariupol and Kharkiv. And about this initiative about the jeeps, that is, I heard about Latvians, and a lot of people buy this, so it's really needed. Like the main idea behind is that pickups and jeeps, you can use them for what is called by our special forces and territorial defense, they call it rat catching or pig catching. In the forests around Kiev and some other places, they put anti-tank missiles on it, or anti-tank weapons, or machine guns, and this is used to actually kind of in a mobile way to let's put it this way, clear out our land and forests. So that is really needed thing.
Okay. And of course, I will be happy to post all the possibilities of donations on together with the notes about this podcast episode. And don't worry about this. And this will be great initiative, because I heard that many are a little bit concerned. Will this be channeled to the right direction, so that there are currently many possibilities to donate, but people are a little bit uncertain what will be going to the good cause, and this will be great that you will be directing to this good cause as well. So thanks for that. But in that respect, I wanted to ask also about another initiative I saw on the internet, that actually quite a lot of donations are in cryptocurrency. And I saw that Ukrainian government is even encouraging to donate on cryptocurrencies, and I when I looked through the articles, I had an impression that the amount is growing fast, and it's now totaling around 100 million euros in just in cryptocurrencies. And I even saw that in one auction, NFTs of Ukrainian flag was sold for 6.5 million in Ethereum, so 10th most expensive NFT ever sold. So could this be a good way to donate? And have you heard how the Ukrainian government would be using this donation in cryptocurrencies?
I think that in terms of cryptocurrencies, I think that those donations are accepted by not-for-profit organization, and one of them is the one which I would also ask you to advertise. I think I advertised it in my posts when the war started on LinkedIn. This is one of the most, the biggest fund, and which is very good. It's called Come Back Alive. It has been in place for many years already, and they have been supporting the army and the refugees and you name it. And they actually are accepting, again, cryptocurrencies, including, of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some other ones. And indeed, like there were some donations, like from like personal donations, which counted for a few $1 million or even more in crypto. And that is again, I would say that, you know, Yanis, that is what I described when I started. I mean, our banking and fintech industry is like, and the young guys which operate this thing, it's so developed that we are actually better than many European countries in terms of how the environment works. And that's why, I mean, it was from the first day. I mean, it was possible to pay in any currency you want, in crypto, etc. And that's why I think, and that is smart, because really, I mean, anyway, it's a convertible currency. Like, if we put it very simply, and you can buy things for crypto, you can convert them into hard currency. So I mean, there are ways to work with that. So again, from trusted not-for-profit organizations, that is absolutely fine. And I mean, if somebody wants, I would encourage to pay in crypto. That's absolutely fine.
Great to hear that it's you feel safe about this. When just going back to yourself personally, when I asked my 10-year-old son what would he ask a guy who now lives in Ukraine, he said that what would you do if you see that Russians are nearby approaching? So you can feel that even some kids outside Ukraine are now realizing the reality of the war, and how this is affecting real people, and what dreams and probably nightmares you have lately. I lost you. I lost your sound.
I didn't hear your last sentence.
My question was about your dreams and probably nightmares. What what do you dream about, basically?
Now? You mean
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Well, I think that we it's a good question. I think that everybody is dreaming of peace, but I would say that Ukrainians do not want peace just as such. I mean, they want a victory. Again, now they are, you know, the feeling is that we must win. It should be victorious peace for us, in some senses. And of course, like the main thing is we want that atrocities to stop towards civilians. That's the main thing, because Russia's army and killer Putin, I mean, when they are losing the battle on the ground, they always target civilians, and that has always been the specific mark of the Russian army. So they are shelling the cities, and they are creating sieges, like they are doing now in Mariupol. And I would say that, like, I would say on a strategic level, we want peace, and we want it to be a victorious peace for us. Like, right now, we want our kids to be safe. Our kids from Mariupol, Kharkiv, the kids which spend their nights and weeks in subway and in shelters and bomb shelters with the shelling. Because, I mean, you cannot imagine that these things might happen. I mean, if you want a war, I mean, the war is between like military forces, but unlike any other civilized nations, Russia and Russian army, they have always been targeting civilians, and it's a massacre like they did in Chechnya, and they are doing actually the same towards Ukraine. So that is why we want, again, I will reiterate that our civilians, please be safe. Our military is doing good, and they will do even better. We just need to wait maybe a few days and week, because I mean there will be a bit, the picture will be a bit different. But we need our people to be out of this and to be relocated, and specifically kids.
Right. And yeah, actually, some days ago, I remember when I saw a video of a dead baby lifted from ruins of a house after a after bombing. My heart skipped a beat, and I was actually crying. And uh, I thought, will it be ever possible in your life and lives of most Ukrainians to live in the same peaceful world now with Russians next to your doors? Whatever the result of the war, I guess if the Russians win, the Ukrainians will continue some partisan war until the last breath. But if the Russians get pushed out of Ukraine, I don't know. How do you? Can you imagine life after the war is gone? How would it look like?
Well, I think that we are absolutely positive about the life after. I mean, of course, it's the biggest tragedy, but I have no doubt that Ukraine, first of all, will survive, will win, and will flourish. We will receive the aid from Europe and from USA. It will be like sort of Marshall Plan, I would think. And Ukrainians are very good at building things, and have always been. And I have no doubt that we will rebuild our cities, and we'll get back to normal. It will take some years to do this, given what has been done specifically in the east of Ukraine. Again, and of course, that is a tragedy which will live for generations with us. It's a big wound, but it will be a big victory. And in respect of Russians, I would think of 4 or 5 generations, because frankly speaking, like we never liked them, and I mean, I'm not the one to tell about the Russians to a Latvian and the history, given that I think there was a celebration of deportation of Latvians from Latvia, and it happened, I mean, a lot. And Russian people are actually also to blame. It's not about Putin. It's Russian people, because most of them still support the invasion.
But I read in the news that it's happening right now with Ukrainians, with some Ukrainians deported also as well.
Yeah. It's, I mean, so you cannot imagine that they are doing it for people from Mariupol, and it's like it's like gastarbeiters or whatever. They have reasons, some reasons to do that, which I mean are inhuman anyway. So again, I don't know what will happen with Russia, and actually I don't care much whether it will dismantle, will collapse, whether it will be just closed. But again, they need to undergo the process which Germany underwent after World War II. They need to be re-educated in all senses, like Germans were. And I would say that after 4 or 5 generations, possibly there will be somebody to talk to. Unfortunately, now even so-called liberals, even our colleagues from law firms, I mean, it's a it's a cancer nation. They just, irrespective of what they do, I mean, and what positions they take, I mean, the arrogance, the messiah feeling which they have, and which is absolutely ungrounded, that is something which needs to be cured. It just needs to be cured, and I mean, it's a painful and long process, and they will have to undergo it. But that would be the best way.
I thought in the next scenario, Russia will get isolated until the current elite gets replaced. So, but from the other hand, the beast is most dangerous when it's cornered, right?
Yes, everybody keeps saying that, and I mean about Putin, and of course, and we can see, and we will see maybe some other awful things. Chemical weapon is not something which they will not use, and they already use some type of bombs which are absolutely forbidden, which they did in Syria. So again, nuclear energy is something they can play, I would say, and inflict more harm and damage to our people. But anyway, again, it's about the time and cost which we will suffer, the world will suffer before they collapse. And I hope it will happen sooner than later.
Yeah. Remember in the first episode when we spoke, I asked you, are you ready to change your business suit and go to fight for your country? And to be honest, I didn't mean that seriously. I thought it's a little bit also a joke, but we are where we are. And but in the same episode, you said that Ukraine is ready. And I remember already since 2014, Ukraine introduced 1.5% war tax that is payable by all who receive salaries. So what do you see now from inside the war zone? Is Ukraine ready, and was Russia ready?
Well, I think that what I can definitely say is that Ukraine was ready, and the intelligence they had before from our allies, I mean, it was kind of very helpful because, for example, if you know that the first bombings, they were targeted at military airports around the country, but our general staff, they knew about it, and actually all military airplanes were removed from the airports and to other secret locations, and they keep doing their job. So in terms of readiness, I think our army has been at war for 8 years, actually, and the rotation in the Donetsk and Lugansk region resulted that 400,000 people just actually participated in the what was called initially anti-terrorist operation, and few years ago it was renamed as an operation of United Forces, which was special local operation in Donetsk and Lugansk. And actually, I think that our military command did a superb job in getting prepared. And I would say those soldiers and those people from military command that were in Donetsk and Lugansk, they have been actually really waiting for this moment for 8 years, because I mean they couldn't show the strengths of and potential of Ukrainian army, and now they are doing it, and they are most motivated specifically in this Donetsk Lugansk region. But again, I think that now we have 250,000 soldiers which are already which have been mobilized. And I mean, Russians wanted to finalize invasion in 2 days with 200,000 unmotivated, unprepared, badly equipped soldiers, which was demonstrated for this month. So I think that again, I mean, You know, we in Ukraine, we know on whose shoulders we stand, and we stand on the shoulders of our armed forces.
Mm. And I think there's also a threat that this may escalate towards Europe, especially to the Baltic states. And there's a 40-kilometer strip between Kaliningrad and Belarus. How to isolate Baltics from the rest of Europe? Do you think it will escalate?
You mean the Suwalki corridor, right? The one.
Yeah.
Well, frankly speaking, I mean, I'm almost sure that they will not now try to invade Baltic states. Because, I mean, unlike many other people, maybe which blame the West and NATO, I'm sure that Article 5 will be triggered in this case. And I mean, doing it right now with an army which already, I mean, has been weakened as Russian one, I mean, it would be well, very stupid. They can do it. Maybe they try, but I don't think they will seek to do it. Maybe they will fly with their jets as they do, but other than that, I don't think. What concerns me is of course nuclear weapon and nuclear bombs, which Putin threatened to use. But maybe that is more realistic in my view. But again, I don't know. I hope that they can deal with him before in this or that way, as internal and external.
Yeah, fingers crossed. You know, but we are lawyers and let's and businessmen, and so let's talk more economics and business. Let's talk a little bit about sanctions. Last week, I took my kids, to be honest, to Malaga, to Spain, and during the school holidays, and I had a strange feeling there that like I had watching the movie. Have you seen this "Don't Look Up" movie on Netflix? Quite good one.
Yeah.
And and there was a episode that basically the whole movie is that the world is collapsing, but some people do not give a shit about this, and until they see the world actually collapsing and in few minutes, and where there was a realistic plan how to survive, then some people actually persuaded the US government to act differently in order to make some money out of it. And now when I see the Ukrainian world is collapsing, and do you feel the West still don't realize the seriousness of this situation, and thinks sometimes even more about the money when we see what Hungary is doing and some other countries?
Yeah, of course, but I mean, I would say not all the Western countries are united as they should be, and we see it. Hungary is a good example, and I mean, Germany did much better after it started, but I mean, had it done it before, it would be much better for Ukraine. But Germans were still assessing their economic impact, and they think they forget that only 30 years ago they were still divided nation between German Democratic Republic and FRG, right? So I mean, memory is short. Money is something which they have now, but I think they're getting back to reality, specifically Germany, because Germany is a crucial thing. France is also, I mean, they're doing better. But of course, let's be realistic. You can count, I would say, definitely an Anglo-Saxon world, and USA and Great Britain. They, I mean, supported it from the very beginning, and I think that what we saw was really like a responsible leadership on their side. Scandinavian countries, Sweden, did good, like from the very beginning, because they were supportive. Because I mean, they know what Russia is, and but again, other countries are already kind of they changed their views, and I think that the United States will push them further. But they could have done much more. Maybe Mariupol could have been prevented, because I mean, you know, if they had introduced the sanctions before the war, maybe somebody would have changed the mind, possibly. I don't know. That would have saved lives. And now, I think that Russia must be cut, like, from them all possible ties, economic, political, and cultural, specifically cultural, which they always use as a sort of flag and their unique nation and unique Russian soul, which ultimately is about atrocities, murder, and etc. So we know this trick, and again, it should be isolated in all ways.
Yesterday I saw in the news quite good plan initiated by 3 European countries, Poland, Slovenia, and Czech Republic. So they proposed a 10-point plan to be adopted in the EU. Have you seen this? I can quickly run through those 10 points. Cut all Russian banks from SWIFT, give shelter to Russian militaries refusing to fight, cut Russian propaganda in the EU, block Russian ships in EU ports, block road transportation to Russia, sanctions to oligarchs' entire business community, cut issuing visas to any Russians for entering the EU, sanction all members of Putin's United Russia Party, stop exporting to Russia anything that can be used for military purposes, and cut Russia from all international organizations. So, any comments about this plan?
Well, that plan has been partially implemented, not in all senses, but mostly I think that what's being done now to Russia. But indeed, I mean, they must be blocked specifically, like it's a good point about ports, airports, etc. And the sanctions and the cost on them should be increased. And I mean, again, that should be full isolation. Because, you know, even for SWIFT blocking, there were still banks which were excluded, like Sberbank, because they were still they were still doing transfers because of the Germany and etc. But this must be actually fully closed. Fully. I mean, they need to be North Korea, which they deserve to be. And again, what else can I say? I mean, politically, I know that our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, our president, you know, they are doing their best to persuade all these countries to do maximum, but and it has not been done in full.
One thing that comes to my mind, in addition to this list, is actually that is related quite closely to our job as tax lawyers. That actually, I think quite many of the oligarchs, politicians, and many people are hiding behind offshore structures, and nobody can see, and nobody can understand whether we are dealing with sanctioned entities or persons or not. And so in that sense, I liked what UK is doing, and I would encourage everyone in the European Union and actually the whole world doing the same. That now even those who are in the land register have to disclose the UBOs, so that everyone basically is aware who's behind, and of course this will work only if it goes in combination with severe penalties for disclosing wrong persons and only nominees. So this should be a high priority in the agenda as well. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, that is so simple. I mean, it can be done so simply. I mean, those assets which are openly owned by Russian oligarchs and persons related to state, their relatives, kids, etc. I mean, definitely those should be frozen. But those which are kind of under certain veil, right? I mean, definitely they should be disclosed, and there should be severe responsibility. Because for Ukraine, I mean, we introduced UBO requirement already. I don't know, like 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, in the register, it's so easily done. I mean, I know. I mean, if you enter Ukrainian register, you can see UBO of whatever company, unless it's public, of course, because I mean it's public and it's clearly stated. Therefore, I mean there are so many tools and mechanisms to hunt down all these guys which actually have their wealth mostly out of robbing the state.
Right, fully agree. One other big question, I saw you were quite active commenting this on social media as well, was related to what really is where is the line of cooperating or having business with anyone related to Russia, and where to draw the line. And I liked that in the latest Akimbo podcast episode, Seth Godin said that it's important to send signals of what's acceptable and what's not. So quitting to have a business with Russian partners who are clearly against the war would not send any signal. But from on the other hand, they in Russia pay taxes that finance the wars. So again, this would be a clear signal. So what's your perspective on that? Where to draw the line? With whom should anyone abandon any Russian completely?
Well, I think that I will tell for myself and for our decision, which we within our office have taken, and I mean it will be made public. I mean our position is within certain threshold of ownership. I would say we will not work with any Russian clients, either owned directly or indirectly. That's it. That's it. Of course, I mean, there are a lot of questions. I mean, for example, UBO can have 2 citizenships, and he can show like other citizenship, and that's something which can be played with. But we want it to be, I mean, in a way where we anyway have a discretion, and if we even feel something related to Russia, we will not work for them. Okay. So I mean, it should be. I mean, you can't compromise on that. It's again what do you choose between the blood of Ukrainian kids and somebody from Russia? I mean, that's obvious choice. We will not work with somebody who is related to this country. But again, we see some law firms that they just say, okay, only those who are sanctioned and state-owned related. Okay, I mean that's their position, but
again, Ilya, how to draw the line? The same question, because I think there are many Russians living in Ukraine, and there are I think 1/3 of population living in Latvia, and I also, when I stayed in apartment last week in Spain. For a couple of days, they had problems with paying for the Wi-Fi, and I thought, what if the flat belongs to a Russian person? Then I'm also supporting the wrong side. and it's not so visible. If I'm eating ice cream of Latvian produced by a Latvian company, but if I know that UBO is from Russia, am I supporting the war? I don't know.
Well, I would say that like one criterion would be first of all, if the guy is still paying taxes in Russia, his personal one, then for me the answer would be obvious. The other thing, indeed, there are some Russians which condemn the war and which have been out of Russia, and possibly they kind of had some position towards kind of their government, and they kind of condemned it from the very beginning. I mean, it might be a different story, but again, I would say that in this particular case, Yanis, their feet must be burning all over the world. That will make them understand and maybe do something about their state, because again, they always want to be behind their state in time of glory and hide themselves somewhere in a good place in Spain or in Malaga where something is going wrong. And you know that I know from my Kazakh colleagues and from my Georgian friends that after it all started, thousands of Russians just fled to Kazakhstan and to Georgia. The same Georgia, which in 2008 they called with very bad words, like racist ones, and they supported the invasion and they supported deportation of Georgians. Now they fled to it, and you know it's typical Russian approach. So, in my view, so I mean, if of course possibly there may be a situation where injustice may be done to good Russian person which wants to be serviced and which wants to have something. But again, in this particular case, I don't care. I mean, that means that they need to do something about their state and maybe change something. Because again, I mean, it's such a perverted philosophy. I mean, they so much love their Russia and all the stuff and its greatness, unless something happens and they start flooding to Georgia, to Kazakhstan, and to Latvia. And I mean, it's always, I mean, to me, it's always specifically interesting to talk to some Russians which live in Latvia. I mean, they are still absolutely, they have Vatnik type mentality, living in European state, and they are still trying to kind of teach some things about what is going on in the West. Living in Latvia, which is a part of the EU, the Latvia which suffered within the Soviet Union, suffered from Russia in particular for many, many years. And they are, it's to me, it's like, I mean, then go to, I don't know, to Klyazma, to where they live, Krasnoyarsk, Irkutsk, and live there. Stop teaching, teach somebody there. That is like really a perversion.
Yeah, but it's still not black and white. Many probably don't know that Stolichnaya vodka is actually made in Latvia, and it's if it's a good pro-democracy and anti-war Russian, should we turn back on them, especially when they sort of are leaving the country to get rid of this craziness what is happening in Russia? I'm sorry to maybe
it's your decision. I mean, Yanis, I mean, that's I'm talking about my position and position of my Ukrainian colleagues. I mean, any firm and any person decide that they must decide themselves. I mean, of course there are exceptions, and again, we can't have like absolutely the same approach. I would say that even if something goes wrong and somebody is not dealt, some of the Russians are not dealt with in the right way, well, maybe they will start thinking, finally, thinking with their head and not with bullshit, which is kind of broadcast out of the television, propaganda, and etc. First channel, which is being watched by some Russian in Riga, Latvia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I was shocked actually how many Russians in Russia are zombied by this Russian propaganda, and even in Latvia, some Russians are sort of. I just got the news that some Ukrainians are sort of having hard time here. Facing Russians, which are zombied by the same propaganda television, so which is actually forbidden here, but probably some people are still somehow getting it. It's I fully hear what you're saying. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. And it is again, and those Russians, and trust me, a lot of Russians which emigrated to Germany in 90s, to the US. I mean, they kind of enjoy all the benefits of the Western world, social, working, education, etc., and they still remain absolutely zombied with all this Russian perverted. Oh, I mean, we call it Russism because it's like an analog of fascism. It's like we call it like Russists, because I mean it's a very good term, and they still live with it. I mean. That is wrong, and they need to be educated. I mean, when in Rome, do as Romans do, right? You can have your culture, but still kind of.
And how do you see Belarus' role in the war? Should we put them in the same basket as Russia?
Well, with Belarus, they are also zombied in a way, but Belarus is a bit different story. But again, what happened and what Lukashenko allowed, because they just were launching rockets out of Belarus to Kiev. You know, I mean, I hope, I very much hope that he will get what is due to him. I mean, Lukashenko. For Belarusian people, I think again, at least they tried 2 years ago, but still, again, you know, we as Ukrainians, we see it. I mean, we had our Maidan. I mean, and you need to get things done there. That's what differs ourselves from them a bit. But still, I mean, there is more hope for Belarusians, and you know, even the way that now Lukashenko kind of cannot use his troops to invade Ukraine because he knows what will happen. Because I mean, it's a small army, and on all directions where they will try to invade, it will be again bloodbath for them. And he's trying to kind of play his usual game, kind of being on with Putin and without Putin, trying to go in between. But anyway, he's the same criminal because he allowed Russians to use the Belarusian soil to invade Ukraine from north, from Kiev, the place where I live and where the fighting is going on now. And he allowed to Russian planes to use their soil for landing, takeoff, etc., etc. I mean, it's absolutely criminal. And again, I would say that for Belarusians, the feelings are not very good now. Are not very good. We know that there are some Belarusians which kind of which do sabotage. They kind of on railroads, they cut the lines for Russian troops, and they are really heroes, those who do it, because I mean it's an old Belarusian guerrilla war, right? Which they did successfully, and some of the Belarusians do it. And we know that Belarusian military forces, they do not wish to enter into Ukraine, and they are being kind of made to do so. We'll see.
Okay, so your Ukrainian businesses are not putting Belarusians in the same basket as Russia and cutting all the ties.
No. It's, I mean, the approach would be the same. I mean,
Okay.
I would say that it's what I just discussed. It's like
About Lukashenko.
about Lukashenko and Belarusian people. The story is a bit different, but also not very optimistic. But in terms of business, I mean, the approach would be the same as with Russians. I mean, no.
Okay. In the first episode, when we spoke, you said that Kinsteller has a plan B for in case of war. Did you successfully implement that plan? What was the plan about, and what Ukrainians are mostly doing? Ukrainian businesses, I mean.
Well, I think that first of all, yes, the plan was implemented. Like for those, like some people left Ukraine before because I mean, again, they were given different choices to work in other offices, and some people did so. Other people just also again relocated to Western Ukraine and also neighboring countries after it all started.
Mm.
So the people are mostly safe. Mostly okay. There are still, I would say, some places I cannot tell, but there are like certain people which have the issues with relocating now, and we are working on that. But mostly, I think that I mean, it was okay and successful. If you can call like all this stuff successful and relocation, but still people are safe. Like again, everybody is doing something. Some people were conscribed. Some serve in this territorial defense. Some just do a lot of volunteering. Some still stay in Kiev, and Kiev is like, you know, Kiev is really, really a place to be now, I would say. I know that, I mean, it's been shelled, but you know that the solidarity and how people defend like our own city, what they do, it's amazing. Like one of our partners is, she's volunteering. They haven't, I mean, they are cooking food for the people, for elder people, for special forces, etc. Some people do like literally they just load and load trucks in Western Ukraine and coordinate something. We have a lot of chats. Again, it's a good time in terms of. I mean, you can rarely see this now in these times, but we are really proud to be Ukrainians because we are one for all for one, and that is really amazing. If something is needed, it's just done very quickly.
Wow. Yeah, it makes me proud of you. Yeah, it's emotions are so high. But how about the business? Does your firm and businesses in general function nowadays? Does your law firm do any work? And if yes, what kind of work?
Well, obviously there is a huge decline for obvious reasons, but still there is a work in pipeline, and again, given situation, for example, like employment practice is very busy for obvious reason, because I mean, you know, relocations, distant work, mobilization of people, etc., etc. A lot of questions here. Tax work, not so much. With corporate, I would say the same, but there are still even some M&As going, strangely enough. Like something has been put on hold. Also, some work with disputes always, and by the way, the events, they also kind of create some potential for work. But mostly, I would say that let's be honest, like people just the work is just to help this or that way to the people, to refugees, and to our armed forces, because again, I mean, we stand on their shoulders, and we have a saying that they keep the sky for us, like a Ukrainian one, and that's why everybody does something to achieve this. I mean, to achieve the victory this or that way.
Right. And economics in general, is it functioning or completely dead, basically?
I would say that well, it depends where. I mean, currently that what we see is like critical infrastructure, like retail is working, even in those places where, I mean, there is siege or the occupied cities and towns, and there is still some I mean, retail is working because you need to feed people, etc., etc. Gas stations, of course, not all of them, and production. Actually, I would say that FMCG, where there are no damage and they can work, they do the work, like, you know, dairy business, meat factories, bread producers, etc. I mean, it's all working, and I mean, there has been a message from president and from the government that, I mean, we need to come back to get things going, specifically in Western Ukraine, which is now like a forepost for a country where I am now, because I mean, people here are actually, I mean, they host refugees from Eastern Ukraine, and sometimes it's very hard for them. But again, it's such a solidarity that I mean, Western Ukraine again is doing their best to kind of support the east of Ukraine and south and all other Ukraine. Again, that's our
right. And for those businesses still working, I saw that in your one of your LinkedIn messages that you were informing about the latest developments. So I learned about this single tax regime of 2% if the turnover doesn't exceed approximately in euros. It was a little bit before above 300 million. So basically, any company is if I understood correctly, paying 2% from turnover, and that's all the taxation in Ukraine currently. Is that right, sir?
Yeah, I mean, you can opt for it. You can stay on the existing system, but you can opt for this system for this period. And I mean, it has been also changed a bit because there was a new draft. They kind of corrected some provisions and some unclear provisions, I would say, of this law, and we will also issue a new newsletter. So again, and that is meant to support the economy for those who want to do it, and you know, for single taxpayers of first and second group, I mean, it's like private entrepreneurs which work with which provide services to not to legal entities but to persons, like to people, right? They are allowed not to pay tax at all. Just it's optionally. They may pay it or they may not pay it, and that is fine. So and also yesterday I haven't seen the final text, but it will be available soon. Import duties and VAT were abolished for martial law period, like completely,
right?
Just to reduce costs. So we will also send newsletter on that. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it will help to revive the economy. Of course, it's suffering, and what those Russians are doing, they specifically hit the the plants, warehouses. I mean, near Kiev, I think that they almost destroyed. I mean, on the one direction, almost all warehouses. You know, that's critical because I mean, Kiev. They were doing it like they were targeting them.
But the simplified tax system, do you think it works effectively? Does government collect enough from this tax right now? Of course, considering the economy is almost on its knees, but to be honest, I was always hoping for such simplified tax system permanently, so I can finally go and do something meaningful with my life. Do you think there is a chance to have something like this permanently?
Yes, I think yes. I think that ultimately, I mean, because after the war, we need an economic boost and economic incentive. I think that there will be something similar to that on a permanent basis, and that is being supported. And I think, I mean, after the war, you can come to Ukraine and do something meaningful. I mean, that's also my dreams.
It's so simple. It's great. It's
That's true, and I think that will be done. I hope very much that it will be done. But again, this 2% system, I would say that currently, I mean, those companies, I mean, they pay 18% of corporate income tax plus 20% VAT, right? With this turnover tax, again, the issue is that it's mostly for high margin businesses. Because 2% of turnover, it's also quite an amount, and
quite a lot,
that, that currently a lot of companies may appear loss making anyway. So
yeah,
we'll see. I don't know whether it will be very popular. Maybe for small businesses.
And when the war ends, do you see what what can be restored, what cannot, how much damage is done, what industries maybe still have a hope of getting sort of back to normal, and what is damaged completely?
I can say I can't say exactly. Like, I mean, I know that again, warehouses, some plants have been damaged. I mean, I cannot say like exactly like which have been fully destroyed, but I think that I know that in the east of Ukraine, some steel plants were damaged, and they did it also purposefully. Somewhere kind of put on hold and in conservation mode, right, before. I think that now it's not yet clear like who suffered most, but a lot of plants suffered, and industries, and of course like housing, like, you know, in Kharkiv, like 1,000 plus buildings were just destroyed. I mean, and it needs to be rebuilt, of course. I mean, again, housing will be an issue. I would say that would be the priority, because other things. And now, importantly, what is also critical, I think that in almost all the regions where it is possible, people started cultivating the land, because it's season for agriculture. And you know, the biggest risk is that, given that Ukraine is a breadbasket for the world, I would say, in certain agricultural products. I mean, there may be issues and crisis for food crisis. I mean, if there is further escalation. I know that, again, even in Mykolaiv region, in Kherson, our farmers already started the work. They said, war is war, and we, you know, Ukrainian farmers, they need to think of their land, and sometimes they steal tanks, but still their main task is to cultivate the land and to start the season, and they are doing it. But again, a big part of land cannot be accessed because of the military action.
Well, it's been very important to know what is really happening and how do you see it from inside. Was there anything I didn't ask you that you think it's important to spread the message about?
Well, I think Yanis, again, I think that we feel the support of all our neighbors and all our allies. I just want to ask you to kind of to still kind of spread the word that everything which is needed and asked by Ukrainians, I would ask to keep donating and gathering funds for that. Again, each 10 euros, each 50 euros is already something which could bring the end of the war closer. And we appreciate every penny and every good word and anything we receive from our good neighbors and allies and brothers and sisters, like real brothers and sisters. Therefore, just like we need to keep the momentum, and please do everything to help Ukraine in these turbulent times. Again, we need your help, and that is something we will appreciate. So keep doing it. Keep helping us.
Thanks, Ilya. I encourage everyone to check the show notes, and of course on all the social media, I will spread all the details that Ilya has given me, so that we can donate effectively and be sure that it will go for a good cause. And last but not least, I still will return to my traditional question. Last time you mentioned about the meaning of life, that you sort of you feel that it's about being with people you love and have fun. Would you say the same now after 1 month being in the war?
Well, I would stand by my words actually, because I'm in my country with people I love, and now I love them even more. So I'm sure we will win. So I mean, the love is always the answer, and we feel towards each other and from the world. So I think that is what is real about this. And our soldiers fight for the land because they love it. That's as simple as that.
Thanks, Ilya. I really appreciate all that you do, all that you said, and I want to hug you. I love you too, and I am certainly will do this next time when we meet in some of the peaceful times in one of the tax congresses, hopefully very soon. And stay safe. Keep informing us on LinkedIn, and after the war is over, I encourage everyone to invest in Ukraine and use Kinstellar and other services in Ukraine extensively, so they all can get back on track as soon as possible. So, Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава. Дякую. Тоді побачимось. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ilya. Goodbye.
Bye.